Hi folks, मेरा नाम यशपाल शर्मा है. It's the 27th of March 2020 today. The lockdown continues and just some thoughts I thought I could share with all of y'all here. And I think घर बैठे बैठे बहुत इच्छा होती है कुछ शेयर करना, thoughts होते हैं. And freedom of speech, I suppose, wherein I can speak what I wish to, and I feel very strongly about things, society, stuff, various aspects of our lives, and I'm very passionate about them. I believe in them, and I want to share and learn from them. Now, obviously, the way we are structured as human beings is that I have always believed in these things that the easiest thing that we can do is find fault in somebody else. You can find fault with me. I can find a fault with you. Easiest thing. I may do nothing else. Somebody may have moved mountains. I can still find fault with that. ऐसा नहीं किया, वैसा नहीं किया, and things like that. Or I may do nothing, and still you can find fault with me. अरे ये नहीं किया. Oh, he didn't even do this, etc. You understand where I'm arriving at, what I'm arriving at. So while the easiest thing to do is to find fault with somebody else, my learning has been that the most difficult things, there are three things that I find that are most difficult to do. The third most difficult thing is to find good in somebody else. Yeah, because finding fault is the easiest. But the third most difficult thing is to say something, well, he or she may not have done this, may not have done this, or may not know this, but may not know that, but he or she definitely knows this, has done this correctly, is correct. So finding finding something good about somebody else, that's, I believe, is the third most difficult thing. The second most difficult thing is find fault with yourself. Where am I wrong? What am I not learning correctly? What have I not done correctly? Very difficult. And the first and the most difficult thing is, after all the gyan, after all the discussions and debates and thinking and analysis, how best can I actually implement it in my own life? That's the most difficult thing. Now, throughout ages, across various texts, various religious texts, various saintly words, you find that there's a common thread to control yourself, to control your mind, to control your actions, to control your thoughts. Everywhere, it's always the same things, that the world will be what it is, but you have to find that courage, call it, those efforts, to set things right. First, you have to be right. There's no point. As they say, that when you point fingers, one finger, there are three or maybe four pointing back at you. And that is just amazing, because isn't that what we just spoke in a different packaging maybe, or in a different way maybe? But that's the whole point. Now, the other thing we talk about in India is the plethora of gurus and babas, and why do they exist? Why do they exist? Well, they exist because many of us, or rather a large majority of us, are looking out for answers. And although in Gita, in several other texts, it's clearly mentioned that the answers lie within, but we do not have either the time, the understanding, or the inclination to go within and find answers. So what do? We go and seek it elsewhere. Now, if I, for the very things that are within me, choose not to look within, but look without, meaning look outside, I'm bound to have certain people who would want to take advantage of me, certain people who would want to meet their own vested interests, and they would be least bothered to help me. So in the name of helping me, they might end up defrauding me. Now, in as much as they are responsible, can't deny that. If they are breaking a law, if they are doing something illegal against me, obviously they are at fault. And the law will handle it in whichever way, whatever the provisions are, depending on how much of evidence I have, etc. But ultimately, am I not responsible? So do I spend my whole life pointing fingers at everybody else except me? Yeah, the one finger and the four fingers towards me. Why will I ever forget that? So my understanding is the more we introspect and talk and think on these lines, I think there's a better chance that I, as an individual, may reach somewhere, some sort of relevance, some sort of solution in my life. In as much as there are good and bad people out there, but what am I doing? On a very different note, completely different note, you must have seen these scenes of various lathi charges against the common man, some women too, in fact, against some women too, by the police. And just quick 1 minute I'll take. There's a substantial change of events that have happened all of a sudden in the last week, and that with the lockdown probably all of a sudden last earlier this week. Now, in a vast country like us, like ours, our politicians are making left and our mistakes every day. Our lawmakers are making mistakes every day. Nobody is perfect, and definitely not the janta at large. As a policeman, yeah, I have the authority and I have the right to lay out the laws, to ensure that the laws are implemented. But do I have to be so barbaric about it? These are not serial offenders. These are not your daily criminals. Even towards your criminals, you talk about reforms and you talk about not giving them the torture or the third degree in your cells, in your prison cells. Then these are normal layman, your armed janta. Isn't it that you would want to explain to them, request them? Is that not what the basic function is? I know there are many amongst us who find it correct that such atrocities are happening against people, and I am not against the police. And I know that there are many people who are deliberately misusing this lockdown by some of them probably went out, just for roaming around with their families or to buy liquor or some other things. And yet, should the police not, as a step one, as a step two, guide them, educate them, tell them what's the point of hitting them while they're on their two-wheelers? What if they were to fail? What if they were out of fear, if they were to run and then fall down again, and then something were to happen to them? Who will be responsible for that? That's just my 2 cents worth of thought. And you may agree with me, you may not agree with me at all, and I completely respect it. And the idea is not to make you agree with me. The idea of these conversations is to initiate thoughts, is to initiate discussions. Majority will eventually decide what they believe is true, and that's how it always has, and that's how it always will be. So, cheers to that. Until next time, bye.